Before we begin today's story, take a moment to subscribe if you enjoy emotionally driven stories, ones that linger long after the video ends. These aren't loud or rushed tales. They quietly settle into your heart. My name is Laura. At 43, I thought my life had settled into something predictable, comfortable, even dependable. For 16 years, Greg and I built a marriage grounded in trust, routine, and quiet companionship. We had no children, but our lives were full: stable careers, shared laughter, and the ease that comes from truly knowing where you stand. I didn't realize how fragile that balance was until one ordinary Saturday night quietly tested it. My sister-in-law invited us to celebrate her son Ethan's 23rd birthday. Ethan had always been bright, thoughtful, and unusually mature for his age. In many ways, he filled a space I didn't know was empty. I had watched him grow, guided him when he needed advice, and felt that rare satisfaction of seeing someone truly flourish. That evening was warm and lively. Conversation flowed, wine glasses refilled, laughter echoed. Greg, relaxed and cheerful, indulged more than usual. By the end of the night, Greg leaned on me slightly, his steps unsteady. Ethan noticed immediately. "Let me help," he said, concern written across his face. Together, we guided Greg to the car and began the quiet drive home. During the drive, Ethan spoke about his future, his studies, his ambitions, and the pressure to make the right choices. I listened, struck by how much he had grown into his own person. Once home, we settled Greg into bed. He fell asleep quickly, leaving the house unusually silent. In the kitchen, Ethan poured me a glass of water. Something in his posture told me he was holding back a thought. "Laura," he said carefully, "can I ask you something personal?" I nodded, sensing the weight behind his words. Ethan spoke not about love, but about identity, expectations, and the fear of disappointing family. He admitted feeling lost, uncertain about where he belonged, and overwhelmed by the pressure to always be strong. In that moment, I didn't see my nephew. I saw a young man standing at the edge of adulthood, searching for reassurance. I told him something important. Admiration can be mistaken for answers. Emotional closeness doesn't always mean direction. And boundaries exist not to restrict us, but to protect what truly matters. "This feeling," I said gently, "doesn't define you, and it doesn't need to control you." He listened, truly listened. When he finally stood to leave, there was relief in his eyes. Not disappointment, but clarity. He thanked me for being honest, for being steady when he needed grounding after the door closed behind him. I stayed in the quiet kitchen, reflecting on how easily life can drift into uncertainty, and how essential it is to choose integrity when emotions blur the path. The days that followed were calmer. Ethan kept a respectful distance, focusing on his growth. Greg remained the steady presence he had always been. And I carried the night with me, not as regret, but as a reminder of responsibility, strength, and the quiet power of doing the right thing. Some moments test us, not by what we feel, but by what we choose. In the days after that night, life felt quieter, but in a good way. The tension had eased, and I noticed a subtle shift in Ethan. He carried himself with more confidence, more thoughtfulness, and a sense of purpose that hadn't been there before. Greg, too, remained the steady presence he always was, blissfully unaware of the weight lifted from the room that evening. Watching him sleep peacefully reminded me how fragile, yet beautiful ordinary life can be. I often reflected on that night, on the delicate line between guidance and interference, and on the importance of choosing integrity, even when emotions make the path unclear. It struck me that some moments in life test us not by what we feel, but by what we decide to do. Ethan eventually found his own rhythm, pursuing his studies and ambitions with renewed focus. Our bond grew stronger, not because of emotional indulgence, but because of honesty, respect, and boundaries. And I carried that night with me, not as regret, but as a quiet lesson in responsibility, in patience, and in the power of being a steady hand when someone needs it most. Sometimes, the most powerful moments aren't the loud or dramatic ones. They're the quiet decisions we make in the background, the ones that define our character and shape the lives of those around us. Some moments truly test us, not by what we feel, but by what we choose.